Creating the 4-foot diameter hollow tunnel log project was something I had planned in conjunction with making an 8-inch diameter mold for a 7-foot long tree trunk project. First, I made the 8-inch diameter tree trunk prototype on a rod that would allow me to rotate the trunk as I was going through the different phases of making the mold. Obviously, being able to rotate the trunk made it so much easier to make the mold. First, I started out by applying 4 coats of the molding rubber to the 8-inch diameter tree trunk prototype to pick up the definition of the image. Once the rubber was dried, I then formed up 3 separate hard mold sections with some plywood, which I oiled prior to mudding them so that I could remove the hard mold sections once they were all dried. In this clip, I've just got the mold, 2 of the 3 hard mold pieces and the rubber in place. Then I need to spread it apart in order to cast the inside, and then I can close that up and put the top back on it, let it dry, and I'll have formed my log. But all this is to say that I made this 8-inch diameter mold knowing that I was going to put together the tree, hollow tunnel log tree, which is 4 foot in diameter. Well, how do you make a 4 foot in diameter tree log with a 8-inch diameter one? Well, I'm about to show you. Okay, so I made a jig where this is a hard mold for this rubber. Now you guys saw me making an 8-inch diameter tree stump with this, and you think that's all I'm gonna get out of it? I do a thing called custom casting. I'm making this 4-foot log tunnel for the kids. It's a hollow log, and I'm using this 8-inch diameter to make 4 castings. It's gonna allow me to cast 4.5 pieces and seam them together and make you a 4-foot log. The mud will keep this thing down, but if not, I got some clamps where I just clamp it to this. But right now I'm getting ready to cast 4.5 sections of this mold laid out flat to make my hollow tree log. Okay, now I'm demolding the first of the 4.5 tree bark castings that I need for the hollow log tunnel project. This casting is only a 1/2 inch in thickness, but I'm going to have to seam the different panels together to make the final structural 4-foot diameter hollow log, where the total thickness will be about 1.5 inches. So I casted my last 12-inch panel. I've got them all tied together now, braced, and all cut the top to where it's perfectly 6 foot. And then I've just now made a template, but right now I've just used this as a cardboard template. I've actually made a form over there to make a panel casting 3/4 of an inch, and then I'll hook the panel in. I'm crawling in here with my mud, and then I'll be mudding this thing around and around, a layer of mud, mesh, layer of mud, mesh, layer of mud, mesh, and maybe one more layer. I want 3/4 of an inch inside, so this whole log is going to be 1.5 inches thick when done. I've also created a form at the top and the bottom of the log to make the outside edges of the log to be 1.5 inches in thickness. Okay, to demonstrate why I made the hole in this is I set this table to where I could set my tools and mud on it. I could crawl into the hole and get in the tunnel and stand up and be able to mud the inside all the way around in a circular fashion. Okay, in this clip, I'm just moving the vertical tree over to the chain hoist so I could use a pulley from the left you're not seeing, and then the overhead crane to where I could pull it and hold it, pull it and hold it, and now I'm just letting it drop because it's past that point and no return. But this was a 1,000-pound log, and I just couldn't manhandle it without using a lift, and I needed to get it horizontal on a table to where I could actually touch it up and stain it and seal it and then package it and put it in the crate. So that's what this is all about. All right, guys, so I got the end taped off because this is going to be a dark brown, kind of a blackish with tan over highlights. This is just going to be like a tannish wood. You know, the white is wood and the bark is usually darker. So I've taped off both ends. The same thing with my end of my log here and this portion here that's wood interior where this is bark. So I'm getting ready to spray black on it right now, and I've mixed this 5 parts of water to 1 part of the stain and or the paint, and I'm about to spray it all real good. So stick with me. Okay, so I started with a 3-inch paintbrush. This is a brown. It's like a normal brown. Like if you picked out if 100 people picked out a brown, they'd pick out this color as brown. And it's just being skimmed on, not trying to get it in the low areas, just on the surface, on the highs. So I'm basically putting this on just a little bit, and then just paintbrushing it on to the log or to the wood here, and then just lightly skimming. Okay, after this brown was dry, I put on a rust orange that was 1 part of the rust orange to 6 parts of water. I skimmed it all on, let that dry. Then I put on a darker tan that was 1 part of the tan to say 4 parts of the water, and I skimmed that on, and then I sealed it. Now here I'm using a tan that's a little lighter than the tan I put on the outside, but it's 1 part tan to 3 parts water. I'm painting the edge that you see me painting now, and then I paint the inside of the tunnel to give it an interior wood look as opposed to the dark wood from the bark. Tomorrow, about 4 days behind what I wanted to, but it's finally done. This one I stained as well today, so I'm just getting ready to seal it here tomorrow. It's so cold here, even with the heat on, I'm still freaking, it took me all day to stain this just because of the wetness. But anyway. Okay, guys, well, I got that tunnel log crate all loaded it up. I had the hollow tunnel log on the actual come along, and then I built the crate and put it in my truck, and then I just backed up my truck with the door open here to where I could get and put the door on. And now I'm about to put the lid on because I took the lift off of the actual tunnel log. But that thing is, wow, it's so nice to have that done. I still have to get this over once I pull the truck out of here. I got to take this to my bud's. He's got a loading dock and a forklift, so I can actually get a semi to come pick it up. But I've got to take this balance beam log, put it on the lift so I can get it in a crate. This thing's weighing about as much as that tunnel log did because it's solid, and it's almost, well, it's 9 foot long, about 20 inches high, so it's pretty solid. So I'm getting ready to do that next, but stick with me, guys.